I think there's a lot of families who don't expect people to meet their kid where their kid is at, and or have run into people who won't. And
Yes.
I see that a lot of times in my office because I do see a lot of kids with autism for their primary care needs. And I really, if they can't sit still on the exam table for me to do an exam, that's fine. I have stood up and walked around and followed a kiddo with a stethoscope in my ear to get a chance to listen to their heart sounds. You know, if we get a blood pressure, great. If we don't, I'll decide if we really need one or not. And that'll decide if it's worth that battle. And sometimes I have parents who are really surprised that I will go where the kid goes to do the exam and not fight it if it's not something I need to know right then as part of figuring out what's going on with them that day, because they've had doctors be frustrated because the kid couldn't sit there and say when they needed them to.
Yeah.
And so they run into that a lot, especially if they've been struggling for a while and they don't know why, so how do we help? That they kind of go, oh, you're okay with this. And I'm like, yeah, we'll meet them where they're at. You know, when there's spaces that are set up to meet them where they're at. Think about it, when you encounter teachers who kind of have alternative seating and the bouncy seats and stuff like that in the classroom as a thing that anybody and everybody can use. It's not just you can only use it if you have your IEP or your 504 plan.
Yeah.
But when teachers go, everybody's got a limit to how long they can sit still, and everybody needs to wiggle and move. And so if you need to stand, go stand over there. And if you need the bouncy seat, grab it. And if you're playing with that more than paying attention, then you won't be able to use it. But if you're using it the way it's intended, then you see every kid in that room thrive and feel comfortable and be okay, because it turns out you don't necessarily have to have a diagnosis to have a hard time sitting still or to not like how a buzz of a trimmer feels.
Absolutely.
Everybody has sensory things they do and don't like. And so when you kind of set up spaces to be like, really don't care if you have a diagnosis or not, we'll work with you where you're at.
Yeah.
Again, that takes the disorder piece out of it.
Yep. Yes.
It takes the disorder piece out of it and says, this is your operating system, this is your operating system, this is your operating system. If you show me what your operating system is, I'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes the stigma out of it.